Here it says, WNBA stars reportedly won't sign contracts until new CBA deal is agreed. Here it says the collective bargaining agreement. Let me pause this. Or maybe I can't. Okay, let me get this out the way. Whatever. The collective bargaining agreement passed on January 9th. Both parties reportedly remain far apart in their expectations for a new deal, and the early repercussions are being felt as stars reportedly won't sign new.
This isn't frustration you're hearing in her voice. It's panic. Breanna Stewart just revealed that WNBA free agency hasn't been slowed down or pushed back. It's completely frozen. Players are being told by their own union not to sign anything, not to accept offers, and not to move forward with their careers. Here's the part many people are missing. The collective bargaining agreement expired on January 9th. We're now weeks past that deadline, and the two sides aren't just disagreeing, they're stuck. According to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, they're still divided on the most basic issue: how the money should be split. When a whole professional league stops because no one can agree on revenue, everything comes to a standstill. And now, we're watching that happen in real time.
No one should sign anything because any contracts. Let me get this back up. Here it says Breanna Stewart said that while qualifying offers may be going out, there's an understanding from all of the players that no one should sign anything because any contract signed will fall under the current CBA numbers, not the ones they are fighting for in the current negotiation. So if someone was to sign a contract, it would be based on this old payout, not the new payout that they are fighting to.
Here's why this is such a big deal. Under the current CBA, any contract signed right now is stuck at the old pay scale. It doesn't include the higher salaries or bigger revenue share the players are pushing for. It locks them into a system they've already said they don't accept. Stewart's message to the rest of the league is very clear. If you sign now, you weaken the entire negotiation. You're settling for less than what everyone is fighting for, and you're giving owners exactly what they want, players breaking ranks because they need the money. This is the most extreme move the union can make. They're betting they can hold out longer than the league can afford to wait. The problem is, that bet comes with serious risks.
The league's collective bargaining agreement expired on Friday night without a new deal. The league and the Players Association have both released statements. Now, the league statement says, in part, as the league experiences a pivotal time of unprecedented popularity and growth, we recognize the importance of building upon that momentum. Our priority is a deal that significantly increases player salaries, enhances the overall player experience, and supports the long-term growth of the league for current and future generations of players and fans. The statement from the Players Association says, in part, despite demonstrating our willingness to compromise in order to get a deal done, the WNBA and its teams have failed to meet us at the table with the same spirit and seriousness. Instead, they have remained committed to undervaluing player contributions, dismissing player concerns, and
instead, it's turning into the ugliest. Listen closely to how different these two messages sound. The league talks about record popularity, growing momentum, and long-term success. It's polished, careful language meant to reassure sponsors and media partners. Now, compare that to the Players Association. They're using words like undervalued, dismissed, and running out the clock. That's not the tone of compromise. That's blame. That's the kind of language used to prepare players for a shutdown. What makes this even more explosive is the timing. The WNBA just had the most successful season in its history. Caitlin Clark's rookie year shattered TV ratings. The league grew to 12 teams. Sponsorship money poured in. By all logic, this should be the smoothest negotiation the league has ever had. Instead, it's becoming the most bitter.
That statement was very emotional. It was very emotional. I just don't feel like they moving in a way where they want to get something done.
Two statements, but from what you know, what's your assessment of where the negotiations are at this point in time?
Yeah, and I want to kind of pin this with just a little background from me, right? And so as a former player, someone who was on the executive committee, went through 2 CBA negotiations, and let me just tell y'all, never want to do that again. A lot going on there, but also as a current investor in the WNBA, these are negotiations. This happens. We read both those statements. It's basically saying we're staying at the table and we're continuing to talk. And that's what you want to see happen as a fan. I think right now, as pivotal as everyone is making this, what I would love to see happen is just both sides staying at the table, being.
Now we get to the heart of the problem. Swash makes an important point. Every successful negotiation requires both sides to give something. She's been through this twice as a player representative, so she understands the process. But here's the question no one wants to answer. What have the players actually given up? Reports show the league has moved off its original position. Salaries have been raised in multiple proposals. Revenue sharing percentages have been adjusted. Yet from the players' side, there's no clear sign of compromise. Caitlin Clark even said publicly that compromise is necessary, and she was quickly criticized by other players just for saying it. That reaction says a lot about what's happening internally. There's a group within the Players Association that sees any compromise as a betrayal. They believe the league now has plenty of money and the players deserve a much bigger share. No discussion required. The problem is that's not how collective bargaining works. It's not how any business negotiation works. And the longer this standoff continues, the more it risks slowing the very growth the players are trying to benefit from.
Right now, you want to see a good deal done, a CBA done, and you know what that means? That means both sides don't get what they want, right? A good negotiation, we know, we've played, is that both sides may not get what they want. And so what you focus on is what are the things that we can come together and say, this is going to make the league stronger, the players feel good about, the fans are here, and there's so many sponsors right now that are excited about this league. That's what I'm really talking about, is the business side of it too, right? And the business side affects the players, it affects the league. How can you come together and get a good deal?
Well, the players aren't trying to compromise. That's the thing. Caitlin Clark said, hey, we need to compromise. I want to know, what have the players actually compromised on? Because we've seen from offer to offer how the WNBA owners have compromised and how they've made adjustments. We have not seen what sacrifices, what compromises are the players actually making. Like that's what we haven't seen at all.
Done. And so as they stay at the table, let us as fans.
And this is the part that should scare every player in the league. Blake Griffin recently mentioned that he went through a lockout right after his rookie year. Games were canceled, paychecks stopped, and everyone took a hit. The NBA survived because it already had decades of steady revenue and a huge global fan base. The WNBA doesn't have that safety net. The league is still building its foundation. Sponsors are still deciding if this is a long-term investment or just a short-term spotlight. TV partners are still judging whether the ratings truly support big broadcast deals. If games start getting canceled, if the season is delayed, or if this turns into a messy public fight, the WNBA could lose momentum that took 25 years to build. Here's the hard truth. Owners can survive a shutdown better than players can. Most owners have other businesses and deep pockets. For many of them, teams are investments or passion projects. For players, this is their main source of income. Most already play overseas in the off-season just to get by. So when Breanna Stewart tells players not to sign contracts, she's making a huge bet that unity will hold. That no one will break ranks when rent is due, mortgages are looming, and bills don't stop. She's asking players to trade short-term financial security for long-term gains. And that's a very risky gamble.
That both sides know that they didn't get everything they want, but they feel like they got something that they can be proud of moving forward.
Yeah, and of course the business side is what this is all about, but you also understand, from a value standpoint, the players saying we know what we need to get done, but we also know how we see ourselves. We want that to reflect in whatever the ultimate outcome of this is.
Yeah, and I think from a PR standpoint too, I think a lot of times there are a lot of different articles and people are reading, people are on social media, giving different informations, and all information out there is not truthful information. And so as we tell people all the time, Steve and Blake, you can't just read what's on social media and think that that is gospel. It's not the Bible, people.
It's not. That's what I've been doing wrong. That's what I've been doing wrong.
You're asking me questions, Blake, that have nothing to do with it.
You all, of course, as players have been through very similar negotiations, and it can be very exhausting.
That's the most important point in this entire conversation. You can't look at social media and assume you're getting the full truth. What's been happening during this negotiation is a steady stream of selective leaks and carefully planned messaging. Both sides are trying to win public support, while the real talks happen out of sight. Players post about feeling undervalued. The league puts out statements about record spending on player experience. Some reporters, citing anonymous sources, say a deal is close. Others say the two sides aren't even in the same universe. None of that should be taken at face value. It's all strategy. It's all leverage. Fans, media members, and sponsors are left trying to figure out what's actually real. Swing Cash is right to point this out. The real negotiations aren't happening on Twitter. They're happening behind closed doors, with lawyers and accountants going through spreadsheets line by line. They're debating revenue forecasts, salary cap rules, health benefits, travel standards, marketing rights, maternity leave, and more. It's technical, detailed, and honestly pretty boring, which is why it rarely gets covered. But that boring work is where real agreements are made. And the fact that the deadline passed weeks ago with no deal tells you those conversations aren't going well.
We had a lockout, and I think the message, at first is like, hey, everybody stay together, let's keep this civil. And then, things start changing. The season comes along, and games are being missed. And when games are being missed, everybody loses, right? So I do love, what Swin said, like, it's in the right place. It's negotiations, but it's back and forth, and they're working towards a deal. So I think for us back then, that was the big thing. And, Steve, not to throw you under the bus, but you experienced 2 work stoppages. Not saying it was your fault, but I only experienced 1.
Yeah, I don't think the WNBA, I don't think these ladies is ready for that, man. Once them games start being missed, them checks start being missed, man, listen, man, y'all need to get a deal done and stop playing games. Get down in the...
Here's what makes this situation so dangerous. The WNBA is at a turning point, and the growth is real, not just marketing talk. TV ratings in 2024 jumped sharply. Caitlin Clark's games pulled in more than 3 million viewers multiple times. The league added the Golden State Valkyries, backed by serious money. Big sponsors who once ignored women's basketball are now lining up to get involved. All that progress took decades to build, and it's finally paying off. But now, players and owners are locked in a standoff that could undo it all. Momentum in sports is fragile. It doesn't last on its own. It needs constant attention and consistency. Many of the new fans drawn in by Caitlin Clark aren't lifelong supporters yet. They're casual viewers, and they can easily drift away if games disappear or if the stories shift from basketball to labor fights. Sponsors are watching just as closely. They didn't invest in controversy. They invested in growth. If games are canceled or the league starts looking unstable, many of those deals include exit options. And once sponsors leave, getting them back is much harder. Everyone involved understands this. The players know it. The owners know it. Yet here we are, weeks past the deadline, with Breanna Stewart urging players not to sign and both sides issuing statements that sound more like a breakup than a business discussion. Someone has to give. Someone has to compromise. Because the alternative isn't just a bad deal for one side. It's watching the WNBA's long-awaited breakthrough fall apart under the weight of its own success. The league finally reached the spotlight and the investment it fought for. Losing that now would be almost unbelievable. The league finally has a true superstar in Caitlin Clark. Someone who drives ratings and fills arenas. And now, all of that momentum is at risk because players and owners can't agree on how to divide revenue that barely existed just 2 years ago. Time is running out. Free agency is completely frozen. Players are being told not to sign anything. The season is only a few months away. And according to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, the two sides aren't close at all. They're fundamentally far apart. That's not language used when a deal is nearly done. That's a warning sign. So what happens next? Does someone break ranks and sign a deal, weakening the union stance? Does the league force the issue with qualifying offers? Or do the players follow through on what this is clearly building toward, a work stoppage? Because when players are told not to sign contracts and public statements start accusing the other side of stalling and dismissing concerns, that's preparation for escalation. Swash summed it up perfectly. Real negotiations mean neither side gets everything it wants. That's what compromise is. But right now, neither side sounds willing to bend. Players want major increases in revenue sharing and pay that reflects the league's new popularity. Owners want to protect their investment and keep a system they believe can last long term. Those goals don't have to clash, but only if both sides are willing to meet in the middle. The real question is whether that middle ground still exists. Because if games start getting canceled or this turns into a long shutdown, the damage won't be short-term. Fans will drift away, sponsors will pull back, media partners will rethink their commitments, and all the momentum created by Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the 2024 rookie class could disappear. This isn't drama or entertainment anymore. This is a real crisis that could shape the WNBA for the next decade. And right now, no one is blinking.